CO Halito, what up, cuz?
Hey, there's Ramo. What's going on with you? Alito. Oh, wow. What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all
Peace.
for tuning in for another good show, hopefully. Like I said, hopefully.
Shit, it's gonna be a good show every show. What? Peace to everybody in the chat. We thank y'all for tuning in tonight. This is part 3 of the true peoples, the real peoples of the Americas. That encompasses especially the Southeastern tribes. We focus on the Southeastern tribes. So if you're new to our channel, you're going to hear a lot about the Southeastern tribes of the Americas.
For sure.
I don't see nobody in the chat yet.
They coming. They coming.
Oh, yeah. They coming. Yes. Let me pull this up. Our disclaimer.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yes, we pull that bad baby up. Yes, we have our disclaimer here, everyone. Oh, I see some people showing up. Peace to everybody in the chat, in the building, the observers, and the people that converse with us. We appreciate y'all. So, the first topic of today, a part of the tribes in the Americas, Southeastern tribes, we have the Creek Nation. They just got citizenship. So, cuz, what's your thoughts? Cuz I want to play this video. Before you give me your thoughts, let's play this video. Cuz I know you're gonna go in. Let me play this video first. See if I can make it bigger. Oh, wait a minute.
Within the nation.
Let me start it over and turn it up.
Can we get our citizenship? Can you recognize us not only as first-class citizens within the nation, but recognize our contribution to the Creek Nation over the last 500 years? See, here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize we were here when Columbus got here. There were Black Creeks here when the European came here. We're well documented going back to the 1500s. And so don't try to erase our contribution. Don't try to erase what we've done. Don't try to erase our heroes and sheroes within the nation. Let's move forward as one people, and let's talk about how we heal. And obviously, healing includes some type of reparatory justice. And let's say one other thing. Summit, Oklahoma is one of the traditional Black towns of Oklahoma. And reasons of so many Black towns, including the great Greenwood, of the home of Black Wall Street, was because of the Black Indians had already been here. They had already been free. They already had land. They already had power. And they already had a freedom mind state. So it goes full circle.
So, in case y'all been under a rock, a sacred rock somewhere, the Muscogee Creek Nation Supreme Court has affirmed the citizenship rights of the Creek freedmen, which they are Creek. They are descendants of the Creek and some quote unquote enslaved peoples within the tribe. This ruling stems from a long-standing legal battle, acknowledges that these individuals are entitled to full tribal citizenship based on the 1866 treaty between the tribe and the U.S. government. The treaty abolished slavery and granted citizenship formerly enslaved peoples and their descendants. The legal challenge involved two plaintiffs, Rhonda Grayson and Jeffrey Kennedy, who were denied citizenship by the tribe's citizenship board in 2019 because they couldn't prove lineal descent from a tribal member listed on the Muscogee roll. The court found that the board's denial violated the 1866 treaty, which emphasized that all freed slaves were to be incorporated into the tribe with equal rights. And they like to throw that in there. The ruling considered a major victory for the Creek, who have been fighting for decades to have their citizenship recognized again. The decision has been celebrated by the community, with many expressing relief and joy at finally being recognized as full members of the tribe. The Muscogee Nation is one of the 5 tribes in Oklahoma that has previously practiced slavery, and the 1866 treaty was intended to rectify this historical injustice. Cuz, what's up? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I seen this was like what 2 days ago that they actually got the ruling to be
Hmm.
citizens of the Muscogee Creek Nation. Um, like I said before, the 1866 treaty didn't really need to be done, right? Because, like I was telling one person, there was like, oh, yeah, the Freemans are of African descent. I'm like, but not everybody that was called Freemans were African,
Right.
because sometimes you had those who was actually Creeks because they looked like Negroes. They was actually put on the documentation that there was Freemen.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
another thing is that, are they really doing this the traditional way? Because if they was doing it the traditional way, that means if their mother was Creek, then they will automatically be Creek, even if they was to have an African admixture from the father. Because dealing with traditional ways, you all what your mother is dealing with her clan.
Right. They're not doing it that way because they would have been members already.
Bingo, bingo. So they still have some more work to do. They still have some more work to do. They still have some more work to do. And
Yeah.
then another thing is the word freeman. That was actually a political construct that was done by the United States government. So why keep on calling yourselves freemans when you're actually Creeks?
Right. Yeah.
See,
This is
that's just another Pandora's box, because it's like the guy who was speaking in the video, but he said we was already here. So if you was already here and everything, you shouldn't be calling yourselves freemen. You shouldn't be calling
exactly.
yourself if you was already here, like you said in the 1500s. But that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother topic. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But yeah,
Yeah. They should have wrote that in there. They demand that freedmen be erased and they are just Creek.
right.
Yeah, this was from the Black Wall Street Times. Muscogee Creek Nation Supreme Court ends apartheid, restores freedmen citizenship. After decades of denial, Creek freedmen descendants win battle for citizenship in a case where anti-blackness could have threatened tribal sovereignty.
But how?
Right,
But how?
right,
Because if you was to go back and you look at like in the late 1890s, they said that the Creek Nation was ran by Negroes. So if the Creek Nation was ran by Negroes, then what the hell?
right. Creek Chief. And I'm gonna pull up this picture while you talking of the Creek
Chief Perriman.
Chief Silas Jefferson.
Okay.
All right. Now this one is Silas Jefferson. He was a from the Wind Clan chief. His name was Hotelcoke Miku, Wind Clan chief. He was a prominent figure in the Creek Nation, recognized for his mixed African and Creek heritage and his role as an interpreter and leader. And I want to make this big so y'all can see him. This is how he look, y'all. Oh, wait a minute. This is a Creek chief. So y'all tell me
But
who
if
he look like.
but if they would never say that he was the Creek chief, if they would never say he was a Creek chief, you swear to God he just was a regular Negro.
Exactly. But he knew who he was, and he was the Wind Clan chief. So they couldn't deny him his birthright.
Right, cousin Anthony?
They want me to sign in on this shit. Nope. Yep, so they've done several articles on him. So if y'all want to look him up, he was a Creek chief. And this was 1835 to 1913. So does anybody have any comments or questions in the chat? Yeah, so they give his mother and father's name. They give all his connections here. Um, It says his parents were Betsy and Jeffrey McNack. Jeffrey immigrated with his parents to the Creek lands in the Indian Territory in 1838. He enlisted in the 1st Indian Home Guard Regiment during the Civil War, and after the war, he became very involved in politics. He served several terms in the Creek House of Warriors, representing Tuskegee Town. He also served as one of the chief Locha Hacho advisors, Creek Chief 1875 to 1876. He was impeached and removed from the office in 1876 by the Creek Council and was also close to Chief Esparcher, Creek Chief in 1895, 1899. In 1879, Jefferson ran as a candidate. This is Jefferson right here. He ran as a candidate for the second chief of the Loyal Party ticket. But 2 candidates dropped out of the race after the Loyal Party withdrew from the electoral politics and set up their own government at Nuyuka town west of Okmulgee. During the Green Peach War, 1882 to 1883, Silas Jefferson abandoned the Loyal Party after Esparcher advised his followers to take up arms against the Creek constitutional government. They didn't like that he was a chief, apparently. After the outbreaks that summer, he worked diligently to bring the warring factions together. He remained involved in Creek politics until tribal dissolution in 1906. He also served as one of the principal informants regarding Creek culture and religion, that should be spirituality for anthropologists. John Swanton uh, and Frank Speck, when they were collecting information on Creek life for the Smithsonian Institute in the early 20th century. Silas Jefferson died in 1913 or 1914 near Biggs, Oklahoma. So this is him, the Creek chief. And I'm emphasizing this because I want y'all to see, everybody tuning in. This was a Creek chief. So the Negro Indians were already here. And
Right.
this is evidence for y'all to see a chief that looks like this. Yeah, that's right. Montegator.
I like to read this, right? It says that the idea of the Creek Nation ran by Negroes in the 1890s is a statement that's needed historical clarification. And here's what the important understanding. The Creek Nation leadership and structure in the 1800s and 1900s. The Creek Nation, also known as the Muscogee Nation, was governed primarily by its own traditional leaders. You heard what I say, traditional leaders, often full blood or mixed blood Muscogee people. However, the Creek Nation was highly diverse, and black people, particularly the Creek Freemen, did have a significant role in the Creek society, especially after the Civil War. It goes on to say the political power in the 1890s, in the late 19th century, particularly in the 1880s and 1890s, some of the freemen did rise to influential positions within the Creek Nation, just like he did, became chief. There are documents in case of freemen serving in the Creek Council in the Freeman town like Boyle, Oklahoma, became center of Black Creek life. However, the top leadership of the Creek Nation, like the principal chief, were generally not freemen. Most were either full blood or mixed blood Muskogee leaders, often descended from elite Creek families, like he did, right? Racial dynamics. There was tension between the Creek citizens of the African descendants and others, especially the United States policy moved towards atonement, breaking up their tribal land under the Dawes Act. Many Creek freemen were eventually disenfranchised right during the early 1900s as U.S. and tribal nations began restricting and could be considered a citizen by blood. That's when they started doing the what they call that
DNA,
Tom?
blood quantum.
Yeah, the blood quantum. Yeah, that's when they started doing the blood quantum. In conclusion, it is not historical to say that the entire Creek Nation was basically ran, but it is true that the Creek Nation freemen held political rights and influence during the time. Some of the leaders became point controversial in legal struggles. They were recognized as citizens with the constitutional rights of the Creek Nation, and some did participate in governance, especially at the local level. So, and then that's when they say there are Creek Nation records of the United States government reporting that in the 19th century there was, and it was stated often derogatory and alarming tone that the Negroes held power and positions influenced the Creek government. Here are a breakdown of what it means and where it comes from. Historical documents saying that the Negroes was running the Creek government. The United States Congressional and Indian Affairs report. Some of the U.S. officials and agents expressed concern, resentment, and office report that the Creek Freemen was dominating certain aspects of the Creek politics, especially in the Lower Creek district. For example, in the Indian Territory records from the 1880s and 1890s, you can find the claims such as the Creek Nation was falling under the control of the Negro element, or the Negroes have taken over a significant number of offices and or control the tribal policy. These statements usually came from the federal agents of the U.S. Indian inspectors and rival Creek fractions who disapprove of the Freedmen's having influence. The Creek political shifts after the Treaty of 1866. Creek, Creek Freemen's Creek Freemen's hold on. Yeah, Full-Blood was elected tribal council and held leadership in towns. Some of the sources refer to the Freeman Council as the majority of Freeman District, and even some laws proposed or the passed by the council with the majority of Freeman representatives. The Lower Creeks and the Upper Creeks tensions. The Lower Creek were more open to of often having a stronger relationship with the Freemans. The Upper Creeks, especially traditionalists, was more resistance to Freeman's influence. Much of the Negro running the government statement came from the Upper Creeks critics. So, yeah, that's where all the tension came from.
Yeah. And they got a lot of stuff that talks about okay, we do have the treaty. This is their treaty, the treaty with the Creeks of 1866 that they are referring to. They use this treaty to help them win their lawsuit,
Hmm.
apparently. And then you were talking about the Lower Creeks. Um, this is a book, Indians of the Greater Southeast. This is a good book source for everyone that likes book sources. So we can look at this. All right, you were talking about the Upper Creeks and the Lower Creeks right here. Yeah, and this is in Georgia. I mean, is this Georgia, Mississippi? No, that's Alabama, actually. Yeah, this is Alabama and then Georgia. So it's like they were on the in between Alabama and Georgia in this area, the Lower Creeks. And we, if y'all watched our podcast last week, well, the week before last, we were talking about how the Seminoles were absorbed into other nations, the Creek Nation, the Seminole Nation. Um, well, I gotta make this bigger. Okay, this talks about the Lower Creeks were one of the most important and influential Native American groups in the historic period Southeast and have justifiably received considerable attention from modern scholars, including a wide range of historians and anthropologists. During the past 7 decades, archaeology has made significant contributions to our present day understanding of the Creek's origin, culture, and history. Despite this fact, however, surprisingly few overall synthesis of this work have ever been published, and most of the literature that does not exist is not widely accessible. either to archaeologists and to other researchers or to the general public. Even today, the most comprehensive archaeological list of the 18th century Lower Creek town identifications along the lower Chattahoochee River is still pair of typescript manuscripts written by Harold Husher and some 4 decades ago. This Knight and Misovich, they wrote about the creeks, and the identities of the earlier lower creek towns along the Ocmulgee River are still being debated. But I was just trying to skim through this and pick something that stood out um, about the lower creeks.
Oh, and I want to build on to what the gentleman in the video said, that it was here in the 1500s. Now
Hmm.
notice when it was here in the 1500s, this was before the transatlantic slave trade, so niggas
Exactly.
was already. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. Say that shit again for the people one more again.
Yeah. Matter of fact, can you go back and play that video again where we can break that down from?
Hmm.
Because he said that it was here in the 1500s, and as you can see, he's a Negro. So this was before the transatlantic slave trade. So you
Yeah.
had Negroes over here before the transatlantic slave trade, and those Negroes became known as the Negro de Terra, which is the Negroes of the Americas. You know, so I just wanted to point that out right there.
Oh yeah. All right. I was trying to make it bigger, but it's not letting me make it bigger. But we're gonna roll with it.
Where's the sound at, cuz?
You can't. They must be cutting it. If you can't hear the sound, they must be cutting it.
And then at the bottom is my cousin Chief Sekou, you know.
Can y'all hear it?
No.
They doing that, and I did show our disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only, fair use. Like, okay, I see. I see how they doing it.
Try try it again. Try it again.
Can you hear it? Can
Oh
you hear it?
wow.
Can you
No,
hear it? Okay, so
no.
they fucking with the audio. That's what they're
Hmm.
doing. So y'all can pull this up online. Um, y'all can pull this up online because they not letting. I can play it, but the volume is muted.
Let me see if
So
I can let me see if I can pull it up and let the volume play. So when I say that, like this is crazy.
mhm.
They really don't want it to be played. That's
Right.
funny.
I mean, it's all over the news. Like what? So it's out there. It's out there. So they can't hide that shit because it's out there. It is out there.
Right.
I'm trying to find that article. I
Hmm.
shared that article the other day, and it just mysteriously had disappeared. So this is the type of shit that they do. For some reason, they don't want to give the Negro Indians their props. Let's see if it's on their website. All right, this is their website, the Muscogee Creek Indian Freedmen Band, Creek Nation, Oklahoma. Let's see if they have it on here. Mm-mm. They don't have nothing about the article, which is maybe they haven't added it. They still celebrating. They ain't added it to the website.
That's crazy.
Oh, okay, so they do have this. Please mark your calendars for July 26th. The Creek Freedman citizenship case involving Rhonda Grayson and Jeff Kennedy will be underway. Despite Judge Danette Mauser's ruling in our favor, the MCN Citizenship Board has filed an appeal. Of course, they're going to file an appeal, and which is so fucked up. Why are you appealing people's birthrights? They have filed an appeal to the Supreme Court
Mm.
of the MSN. The
Mm.
oral arguments are scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. So it says your support is crucial. So please help spread the word and encourage your family and friends to come and support us at the Mound Building Auditorium located, and they give the address. Let's see. So, so even though the Supreme Court ruled in their favor, they appealed it. Like,
Mm.
what is
Mm.
so,
Mm.
so threatening to where you want to appeal a people that once had citizenship, you want them to not have citizenship? What is so threatening?
Mm. 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 That's crazy.
Okay, so this is what they're referring to. I did pull up the treaty. It said talks about their political rights defined in the Creek Treaty of 1866, Article 2. So I do have the treaty pulled up. I want to see what they saying in Article 2. All right, this is the Treaty of the Creeks in 1866. Let's go to Article 2. All right, it says the Creeks hereby covenant and agree that henceforth neither slavery nor involuntary servitude otherwise than in punishment of crimes whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted in accordance with the laws applicable to all members of said tribe shall ever exist in said nation. So they saying this should not exist in their nation. And in such as there are among the Creeks many persons of African descent who have no interest in the soil. It is stipulated that hereafter these persons lawfully residing in said Creek country under their laws and usages, or who have been thus residing in said country, and may return within 1 year from the ratification of this treaty. So it said they may return within 1 year from the ratification of this treaty, and their descendants and such others of the same race as may be permitted by the laws of the said nation to settle within the limits of the jurisdiction of the Creek Nation as citizens. This is their argument, okay? They shall have and enjoy all the rights and privileges of native citizens, including an equal interest in the soil and national funds, and the laws of the said nation shall be equally binding upon and given equal protection to all such persons and all others of whatsoever race or color who may be adopted as citizens or members of the said tribe. So this is what they're using in Article 2, because it says that, excuse me, that they can reside and enjoy all the privileges of being a tribal member. In a nutshell, the Creek Treaty of 1866. So if they got it in the treaty and the judge ruled in their favor, like how they gonna appeal the shit? I mean, we know they don't want them to have tribal rights and citizenship, which is really fucked up. That just says that there's a lot of racism within that nation to
Right.
where they're appealing it. At least the Cherokee Nation, they went ahead and embraced it, and the chief was saying we need to be on this road to healing and reconciliation. So they need to take some pages from the notes of the chief of the Cherokee Nation. The Creek Nation does. They need to reconcile. They need to fucking apologize to the Negro Indian Creeks. They need to apologize to them and make sure they have every right restored to them ASAP, immediately. That's how I feel. Anybody got any comments or questions in the chat? Y'all quiet today. I wonder why they muted that, because now they gotta appeal. So what, they appealing the decision? Decision is it's in writing. It's written. It's recorded in history.
Mm-mm. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I've been trying to find that article, and I'm gonna have to look a little deeper. Let me see if they'll well, that was last year. Uh, I ain't gonna pull that one up. I want to pull the one up from the other day. So this is it right here. Well, this is just a picture of the docket, basically, the document. The Muscogee Creek Nation Supreme Court, Citizenship Board of the Muscogee Creek Nation. These are the people that did apply: Rhonda K. Grayson and Jeffrey D. Kennedy. This is what kicked it off. And it says the Muscogee Nation Supreme Court found the Muscogee freedmen were entitled to citizenship within the nation under an 1866 treaty with the United States. So this is the document. Since y'all won't let us play the video with the sound, we still gonna show this shit.
Right.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah,
That's
because
right.
these are the pure.
Uh-huh. Yep. So it's there, it's in writing. They can't deny this. Yep, it's there. And this is the treaty for all you observers and spectators and our people in the chat. Y'all can look up this treaty. They focus on Article 2. This is the treaty with the Creeks, 1866. So this is how one of the things they used to win their case. And the treaty is supposed to be the supreme law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all quiet tonight. I don't know what's up with y'all, but I guess y'all soaking it in. Y'all just like soaking it in. It's a win. It's a win.
I hope the appeal don't go through.
I know. I know. And guess what? Everybody in agreement that the Supreme Court ruled that the dark skinned Creeks have citizenship. They have citizenship rights. It is their birthright. We agree with that. And we rebuke anybody that opposes that. Yep. We rebuke anybody who opposes that. It's like, how you gonna have to fight for your own fucking rights? It's your birthright.
Mm-hmm.
That's what pisses me off. But that's just like that. They need to take a page from, like I said, the Cherokee Nation, how they did embrace the misnomer freedmen, but the dark skinned Cherokees. So Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr., he we did show a clip of that when they did honor some of our dark skinned Indians. But this is just like when the Cherokee freedmen went through the same thing. The judge rules that the Cherokee freedmen have the right to tribal citizenship. And they got to sign Indian by blood. It's like, if it's in your blood, can't nobody dispute that. And we have a song that says, it's one, if you got one drop of Cherokee blood, you Cherokee. That's it. We can drop the mic on that shit. So it's the same thing goes with even the Creeks. They are a creek, and we know that that's not their name, but that's the name that the government is calling them, the Creeks. If they are Creek by blood, can't nobody dispute that. So it's a similar thing. So we got the Cherokee that recognized the dark skinned Cherokees, and now the Creeks, the dark skinned Creeks are recognized, even though the enemy is appealing the shit. So that's two down from the five quote unquote civilized tribes. Okay, it said the judge ruled it was on a Wednesday that the descendants of dark skinned Indians, enslaved peoples who were owned by members of the Cherokee Nation known as Cherokee freedmen, have citizenship rights. The Cherokee Nation can continue to define itself as it sees fit. U.S. District Judge Thomas F. Hogan wrote this in his ruling. Uh, but must do so equally and even handedly with respect to Native Cherokees and the descendants of Cherokee freedmen. So it must be equality. After emancipation, the Cherokee Nation granted its former enslaved POW citizenship as a part of the treaty with the U.S. government in 1866. But in 2007, Cherokee members voted overwhelmingly to strip 2,800 freedmen of their membership, defining tribal citizenship as by blood. And they're getting the shit because they're getting it from how the dolls rolls, how it lists your blood percentage, your blood quantum, and for the dark skinned Indians that they call freedmen, they don't have a blood quantum. So that's something that they were trying to use to like flush them out because they don't have a blood quantum listed. They just have the word freedman listed there. But it's in their blood. Just because you erase it off your paper or your rolls does not erase it from their blood, their DNA. But so this is just an example that the Creek Nation should follow. They should follow suit and honor the dark skinned Creeks, their tribal citizenship. That's my take on it. Yeah. Cuz you quiet over there. You all right?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just surprised that all these nations calling these people freemen.
You right,
You know.
exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to see do they have some on their site about it. They ain't highlighting it either.
I wonder why.
Let me see. Well, they do that. They talking about their elections. That's what they talking about. Yeah, that's all they talking about basically. So in chat, how do y'all feel about the dark skinned Creek Indians getting their tribal citizenship back? You have any comments or questions? Well, cuz anything else you want to add? Um,
No, that's it right there. We almost to the bewitching hour.
yeah, this one was a short one, but we want to congratulate the dark skinned Negro Indian Creeks. Congratulations. Y'all already had y'all birthright. It's in y'all blood, but congratulations.
Right, it's in the
And,
blood already.
right. And so we stand in solidarity with y'all. That y'all should have y'all tribal citizenship and all the rights, all the accolades, everything. Because it's your birthright.
Fight for your birthright. Yeah,
Right. Right.
it's been a long time coming.
Hmm. Yeah. Did you want to speak on that other topic? Because I can't see. Let me look in the chat and see.
Yeah,
I
let's
saw,
see if you see that. Yeah,
I
let's see
saw
if you
that.
see it.
Yeah, I saw that message
Yeah.
that you. But I'm trying to see if they are in the chat.
Well, I'm glad you played earlier the video when they said that they was already here and everything in the 1500s. That let you know that they had Negro Indians here already.
So
You
you could
know.
hear it when the first time I played it.
Yeah, the first time you played it, it was
Okay.
heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's the hey. I'm good. I'm good with that. They might try to ostracize them, but they'll be um going against the law if they do that. Um, yep, yeah, of course some people gonna try to ostracize them, but that don't even matter. Yeah, of course some people gonna try to ostracize them, but that don't even. Oh my god. I'm trying to see if they in the chat.
The but but by them being the five civilized tribe, we already talked about the pros and the cons of being federally recognized.
Right.
You see, and within the Constitution and within the BIA, they say that these tribes are dependents. You know what I'm saying? So what is a dependent? You
Mm,
know, you
yeah.
know. So yeah,
They depending on who?
right,
That's the
right.
$1 million question.
Who they dependent upon?
Mhm.
Somebody is your daddy. Somebody is your daddy. And we know who.
Yeah. Yep.
And then on one of the records, right? I think it was the Cherokee versus Georgia or something, but it was to where they actually called Andrew Jackson their white father,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. And I,
Hmm.
I was like, oh boy. I
That's deep.
was like, oh boy. I was like, wow, your white father. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's a what? That's a shot fired. Huh?
Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, we did a treaty with you. I don't care. Get your ass on that Trail of Tears.
Yeah, it's really really jacked up.
Yeah, that's messed up. But they
Yeah,
want to do all that. They want to do all that fighting, but they're not fighting for the right thing. You know what I'm saying? You're not fighting for
exactly.
the right thing.
Exactly.
Why y'all not fighting for complete autonomy instead of being called a dependent or yeah,
Right.
or why you calling yourself a nation within a nation? You know, like how you come under the subservient of the jurisdiction of the United States when you was before the United States. Make that make sense because the math not mathing. You
Right.
going you going to ask your child to recognize you on your own land in your own house. I mean, I can open up a can of worms historically if I wanted to, right? Because for them to move the tribes from the southeast going to the west, that means they had to move somebody off of their land. You see,
Right.
because was not Oklahoma the land for the Comanche?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they should know that by now because you touch on that.
That was the land of the Comanche. So the United States and them moved the Comanche off their land and misplaced them, right?
Yeah, they do a lot of that.
And they don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, they do a lot of that.
I'll move the Comanche land. And the United States said, well, this will be your land and this will be your territory and everything. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. This is another article that I found from the Guardian. It just says
Okay.
Muscogee court affirms citizenship for descendants of people enslaved by the tribe. Muscogee Creek Nation had earlier argued that only lineal descendants of the tribe qualify for citizenship.
So they talk about lineal, they talk about bloodline, if they talk about lineal.
Okay, so they do have
Lineal,
a.
lineal dealing with bloodline.
It says in a landmark decision, the Muscogee Creek Nation Supreme Court ruled that Rhonda Grayson and Jeffrey Kennedy, two descendants of people who were once enslaved by the tribe, are entitled to tribal citizenship. The court ruled on Wednesday that the Muscogee Nation Citizenship Board violated an 1866 treaty in denying Grayson and Kennedy their 2019 application for enrollment. At the time, the Citizenship Board argued that the descendants should be that the descendants should be denied because they cannot identify lineal descendants of the tribe. So they Grayson, who is the founder and director of the Oklahoma Indian Territory Museum of Black Creek Freedmen History, and Kennedy are descendants of the Creek Freedmen, people who were enslaved by the Muscogee Nation. They can trace their lineage back to people who are on the Dow's rolls. They can trace their family, y'all. All right. A list that identifies people from the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Muscogee Creek, and Seminole tribes. Grayson and Kennedy's ancestors are also listed on the Freedmen roll. So they got ancestors that's they have a blood quantum on the Dawes rolls, and they have ancestors that are listed as freedmen. Okay, and then they say, but not the Muscogee roll. They got their own roll. This discrepancy is how the tribal citizenship board previously justified denying Grayson and Kennedy's applications for enrollment. Excuse me. However, the court ruled unanimously this week that such a decision was in violation of the Muscogee Nation's laws. Are we, as a nation, bound to treaty promises made so many years ago? You fucking right, you are. The court wrote, today we answer in the affirmative because this is what Muscogee law demands. According to the ruling, any future applicant who can trace their ancestry to someone on either roll will be eligible for enrollment. The decision comes after the Muscogee Nation Attorney General Jerry Wisner appealed a 2023 ruling by District Judge Danette Mauser in favor of Grayson and Kennedy. And then they start talking about this history, a sordid history. Until 1866 treaty with the U.S. government, which addressed the status of people of African descent. So mixed people, right? Who lived among the Southeastern Indigenous nations. The Muscogee Nation, along with four other Southeastern tribes in Oklahoma, enslaved Negro Indian people or misnomer Black people. With the abolition of slavery laid out in the treaty, the nation granted citizenship to the people it had once enslaved. And remember, we read the other week about what they enslaved dark skinned Indians. So these are the slaves that they talking about. Uh, Many of those who were enslaved by indigenous nations were also forced to participate in the Trail of Tears, named for the suffering and death that thousands of indigenous people and Negro Indian people among them experienced when the U.S. removed them from their lands to facilitate the expansion of settlers. The Trail of Tears is considered to have been an act of genocide. Yes. All right. In Mauser's
Paper
decision,
genocide.
yes,
Paper genocide.
paper genocide. Yes, sir. In
Hmm.
Mauser's decision, she acknowledged the shared history of the freedmen, the Negro Indians, and the people who enslaved them, noting that the enslaved people often spoke the tribal language and participated in ceremonies because they Creek by blood. The families, later known as Creek freedmen, misnomer freedmen, likewise walked the Trail of Tears alongside the tribal clans and fought to protect the new homeland upon arrival in Indian territory, she wrote. During that time, the Negro Indian families played significant roles in tribal government, including as tribal town leaders in the House of Kings and House of Warriors, like we showed y'all with Chief Silas. He was a leader in the House of Kings and House of Warriors. But almost a century later, the relationship became more fraught. In 1979, the Muscogee Nation adopted a constitution that restricted membership to only those who could identify themselves as descendant of people listed as Muscogee Creek Indians by blood on the Dow's rolls. But these people that this case is about, they had ancestors that were Indians by blood on the Dow's rolls and freedmen's. All right. Today, the Cherokee Nation and the Seminole Nation grant citizenship to the people who were enslaved by members of the tribe. Though citizenship in the latter nation is not entirely equal, the freedmen citizens in the Seminole Nation cannot run for higher office or access tribal housing or education assistance. This is some bullshit right here. In the fight for enrollment and citizenship, freedmen groups across the five nations have been created. Um, While this victory honors our past, it also offers a meaningful opportunity for healing and reconciliation, says Grayson in a statement to the Associated Press. It's time now to come together, rebuild trust, because they need to earn our trust. They do. And move forward as one united nation, ensuring future generations never again have to face exclusion or erasure. Mm, yeah. So that was an article that touched on the Muscogee court affirms citizenship for descendants of people enslaved by tribe. And I'm gonna show Silas again. Uh, Anybody got any comments or questions before we wind it on down?
See how asks, will they become a Freeman band only? That's on their that's dealing with their government, so I can't answer. That would be a governmental question to ask them.
Right, right. You have to ask somebody from the that's officially from that nation on paper. Yeah, so if y'all tuning in late, I see more numbers have popped up. If y'all tuning in late, we have been discussing the Supreme Court ruling, the Muscogee Court ruling that the misnomer freedmen's, but they are dark skinned Creeks. They were granted citizenship. All right. And this is a dark skinned Creek. Silas Jefferson. He was chief of the Wynn clan. So this shows you, and this was in 1835. So this shows you that they had dark skinned Indians when they were chiefs. They had um, prominent leadership roles. So, and we did play a clip earlier from the attorney that helped them. And he just talked about everything. And I tried to play it again, but y'all can look it up. Y'all can Google it. It's on all social media platforms. Creek Freedmen win tribal recognition. Well, cuz we can close out. We've been on here an hour. We thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all stay tuned. We will have our Sunday panel discussions, and periodically we will have guests.
Right.
Y'all know we deal with Southeastern tribal nations history, her story on this channel, especially descendants of the mound builders. So y'all can get at us and tell us if y'all want to touch on different topics. We are here for you. What's up,
And don't
cuz?
forget, and don't forget the merch.
Oh no, I'm not gonna forget our merch. Yeah, so we here for y'all. And if y'all ever want to support, y'all can support us by getting some merch. We would appreciate it. And I'm gonna pull it up in a second. We appreciate y'all for tuning in on Sundays. We appreciate y'all. So this is our merch. This is our store. The link is in every description of all of our podcasts, our videos. The link is in the description. All our social media platforms. It is there. So this is our store. We have things to honor our ceremonies. We celebrate green corn ceremony. So we have a shirt commemorating that, giving honor We have mugs, shirts, bags. We have our classic design. And then we have our other design. So we got pillows, we got hoodies, jogging suits, basically, shirts, bags, mugs, you name it. We got it. We got it. We got phone cases. If y'all want to represent. We got a little bit of everything. So we appreciate y'all support. This is the other classic. It's not the classic design, but this is our other design. So get at us. Y'all can tune in on Sundays, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We appreciate y'all. Wado Yakoki, Shonabishi, to everybody who showed up, and especially those who participated in the chat. We like the dialogue. We appreciate y'all. Any last words, cuz?
Well, I already said my part. Said Tina Tuka. I'll let y'all later. See y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.